what I've been
Mm.
teaching is how you just let your soul take charge and just trust it. Because it is a part of us that we can really trust. And, in the world we're in now, people, they've stopped trusting, with good
Yeah,
reason, because
yeah.
you can't trust anymore. And but the soul is never going to let you down. Like, it's reliable. It loves you. It
Mm.
has your best interests at heart.
Welcome to the Light Dump, Chris. Lovely to have you back. So lovely. And for people who haven't come across you before, you are a soul counselor and healer. And for many years, you've worked in the Akashic Record, but your focus now is shifted very strongly towards the soul. Why has that shift happened?
Why it's happened is, I think, it's time for the soul. As a lot of you will know, we're going through a process called ascension, which essentially is upgrading our consciousness and our vibration from a lower sort of 3D space to the fifth dimension. And to me, ascension is really becoming our soul selves. So instead of being human beings with a soul, we're souls, in a human body. And to me, that if you really want to simplify what what ascension is, that's what it's all about. It's very, very important at the moment because I think the soul is under threat. So if you look back at our history, and I know quite a lot about this,
Hmm.
because I was a history teacher, but also just through the Akashic Records, 10,000 years ago, like in Atlantis, it was called Golden Atlantis, and that was really the last time on Earth that we were in a planet Earth was in a fifth dimensional vibration. And then it started to spiral downwards. And it ended up with the cataclysm, which was really the destruction of Atlantis, and consciousness went down to a 3D level. So we all sort of descended into that space. And a lot of us are old souls. And so
Mm.
in 3D, you have to keep coming back to clear karma. And we sort of got caught in that karmic wheel. We got caught in life, living our lives repeatedly, coming back in survival mode. And the key thing that we did is we lost touch with our soul and we lost connection with it and we stopped listening to it. And, we took on the truths from outside ourselves. So it's really important now for us to reclaim our power and connect with our own sort of inner guidance and truth and spark. I mean, the soul is actually what I would say is a divine spark. It connects us to source. It connects us to our truth. It can take us way beyond our wildest imaginings, and it's had a back seat. Like if we even look at our human lifetimes, because you and I were born in the third dimension, very
Mm.
much.
Yeah.
Like you come from somewhere else, and you sort of come in fully knowing what the plan is. But as soon as you're born, like something they call the veil of forgetfulness comes down, and we forget all that. And then we're children and we want to survive, and we're in this lower vibrational world, or we were, and we forget our own truth, and we, look at adults and they're bigger and they're more powerful. So we believe what they say and we just stop listening. And at the moment, I think we're in the middle of a bit of an existential crisis because, and it's got parallels with what happened at the end of Atlantis.
Mm.
Like I think this time we're not going to go in that direction because there's too many of us that were around then that just are so triggered and know we cannot let
Mm.
it.
Mm.
But, Atlantis really ended because of the misuse of technology. And prior to that, there was like mind control techniques, and we've got the same thing happening now. And I won't talk now about AI, but I would probably quite like to talk about it before, but later on. But I
Yeah.
think the big danger, and it's not necessarily bad AI, because I think it can make our life easier with little mundane tasks, but we can't let AI consciousness replace our consciousness.
Mm.
And so we have to connect really back with our inner truth. The other reason why it's really helpful now as we're going through ascension, this year in 2026, we're really in amongst it. Like it's
Mhm.
every year I say this, but at the moment this is the year. Like it's really kicking off now, and we can just see with different things that are happening around the world and sort of replicas of what have happened in the past, and authoritarian governments and people giving their power away to or
Mm,
institutions and social media, misinformation, all that sort of thing. But there's also so much chaos. There's so much happening, like everything. We're so scattered. There's like, I've got a lot of friends that are going through very difficult experiences, and there's just more and more of it. And if we can
mm,
connect with our soul, like we can find that sort of stable, safe, calm, peaceful place, like it's not only helpful to us, but it's helpful to everybody else. And it will help us sort of get through that ascension process because it's very chaotic. There's a lot of turmoil and it's taking us to a wonderful place. It's something we have to go through. But I think, definitely if we can make that soul connection earlier, sooner rather than later, it's going to be very, very helpful to us.
mm, mm. Before I deep dive into the actuality of what is the soul, I just want to stay on this Atlantis. It's interesting you say this, that um, collectively Atlantis, it all went pretty much at once. At a certain tipping point, it collapsed, and there was obviously a build-up, not unlike what we're
Mm.
experiencing here and now, and over the past few centuries. So, is that is there, do you think, a collective consciousness, a collective soul as well as the individual soul?
Oh no,
Because
oh
that
no,
felt like a collective
oh no, there was
example.
definitely a collective of us that chose to be there and had that experience. I can talk you through the different aspects of the soul if you like. So
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
in a human body, the part of the soul that we really need to aim to connect with is our higher self. So then is there's the aspect of our soul that's basically been present in all of our lifetimes, wherever we've had them. And
Hmm.
it's with us in our human lifetime and was with us before the life began, sort of planning it. The only thing is once we're born, it can't help us necessarily unless um, we ask it to or we connect with it because as human beings we have free will and it cannot violate it. But the higher self orchestrates everything, and if you learn to work with it and communicate with it, and I can talk later more about how to do that, it can just transform your life and make it so much easier. And so there's the higher self, and that's the part, in our human bodies that I think we
Hmm.
can connect directly to. Above that is something called the oversoul. So while we're actually in our bodies on earth, living our little lives as who we think we are, um, there's other soul aspects out there, many other aspects of our soul doing other things. So they could be past life aspects from lives on earth. They could be um, they could be parallel because quite a few of us have more than one lifetime at the same time.
Hmm.
They could be galactic,
Hmm.
and we have all had galactic lifetimes.
Mm, yeah.
We're not just someone that's been on Earth, we've been elsewhere, and many of us have been through the ascension process there as well, and that's why we're here now
Hmm.
to assist. So the oversoul sort of understands and knows where every little piece is, what dimension, what place, what world, what it's doing, what its purpose is. So it sort of overlooks that. So if you have a diagram, you've got like Susie at the bottom,
Yeah.
and then you've got your higher self, and then you've got your that's really concerned with this particular lifetime is
Yeah.
Susie. Then you've got like the oversoul, and then you've got the monad, which is what I understand it. So just take everything I say, like with just run it through the truth of your heart and
Mm,
see if it resonates or not.
mm,
But the monad is actually what I believe is 144 souls that come in as a group. So what
mm.
would have happened is we
Your
all
tribe.
came in. We have a monad, which is your tribe.
Yeah.
And all those souls aren't necessarily on Earth at this time, and some of them might be our guides, but there's definitely a connection because the monadic energy came from source. So above the monad, you've got source, or some people might like to call it God, but I call it source.
Mm,
And from that monadic energy came these souls, and basically the ascension process is us returning to source. So we come down as souls and bodies. We've sort of decided that we're just the body. We've forgotten who we really are, but the ascension is returning back to source. We come from source, and you know,
So would you say that the soul, if we want to go with your, I'm picturing your little image there, is you called it the divine spark before. It is the dis divine spark of source. Is that
yes,
right?
yes, it comes from source.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have these little different experiences just to grow,
Okay.
evolve. It sort of looks, you think, why would you choose to?
Yeah, my
But I
question,
think
no, next
the
question
thing,
is why would you bother?
we
Seriously?
obviously have, and not,
Yeah.
but we were source, we are source, and that's the thing, about ascension is to return to unity and unity consciousness and all be part of the whole, and you get to the point where you think you can't really judge or criticize anybody because they are you. And I'm
Mm,
not quite there yet because one thing that happens when you start to connect with your soul and hand over the reins of your life or let it take charge is there's a bit of a kickback from the ego
yeah.
because, it's been in charge of everything. It's been in control and it sort of had to be, to survive in that lower vibration that we've been living in for 10,000 years. Just excuse me a sec.
No, yeah. You're absolutely right. The ego does kick in.
But now, like, because I'm connecting more with like, I know it's little tricks and I can know it's the ego straight away. So
Yeah.
it doesn't kick in for long, if you know what I mean. Like, it
Mm,
doesn't, I'm not sort of letting it take over like it used to.
yeah.
But that's the thing. There's a lot of letting go that has to happen to bring in the higher self and to live, as soul aligned life. But that's what we're all doing in our own way, I think, at the moment.
Is this just because back to our question, why would we when we're the source, each and every one of us is the source, is the spark of source energy, the perfection, if you like. Come down and do this. And is that just simply, do you think, part of the earth vibration? Is that's what it takes to be here on this planet?
Well, Earth is considered pretty unique and special.
Yeah.
And you've probably heard this from other
Mm,
people, but and
mm,
know it yourself, but people souls are queuing up to come here because it's just such a unique place, and we're undergoing this ascension process that actually took 300 years in Sirius and a lot longer in other
mm.
places, in 20 years basically. And
Oh,
we're in a physical body, like a lot of places in the galaxy and elsewhere, they don't even have physical bodies. We can feel, we come in to learn about emotions and mastery. And so we are considered very, we're really honoured. Like it isn't easy to be here. We
yeah.
know that, but we are sort of, treated with the utmost respect and really honoured. And what everyone has to remember is that we chose to be here, but we were chosen.
Mm,
And if you're having a bad day and doubting yourself and thinking, God, life, just think, well, actually, I'm here. Try and focus on just the light that you are putting in, the people you've helped, the positive things, and just,
mm.
don't cut yourself some slack and don't sort of beat you up and just know just by being here physically, you're making a huge difference, you
It is
know.
that's quite tough, and particularly in these times
Yeah.
when everything's being rocked and shaken up and disclosed, and which
Yeah.
is good. It's not a bad thing, but it's quite hard to be around, and be in. But it is part of the necessary trajectory that we collectively need to go through. And I have heard this before that Earth is the beautiful experiment or the beautiful experience of emotion that other planets, galaxies, and other species perhaps haven't had
Yeah.
had. And so, and I think I sort of think that we don't think about us being unique in that way. We assume that every other intergalactic being out there is higher than us or better than us or has done this before. And they may have done it before too, to some degree, but maybe not too.
It definitely takes a lot of courage to be in a human body on Earth, and particularly at this time.
Yeah, yeah,
Given the
yeah,
fact that actually when we signed up for it, Susie, like you're a lot younger than me, but we actually, the trajectory, because there's always different timelines of what can happen, where we were going to destroy ourselves, you know.
mm,
So we could have been completely, vaporized or
yeah,
whatever, and that was it. And we
yeah,
sort of came in, so that took a lot of courage, but it was after 1987, it was obvious that wasn't going to happen. And
mm,
that's why there's some beautiful new souls that have come in now. But apparently, all this learning that we're gaining through going through this unique experience and experiment is going to go in the sort of higher realms annals of the galaxy and just help many other systems of worlds and beings in other places. So it's a real act of service, not just for us in our individual lives and our communities with our families, if we're light workers, with clients and people we work with in the workplace, but also, for the galaxy. And
yeah,
I don't want to go off and talk too much about the galactic beings, but they're definitely here and they so want to help. And,
yeah,
that's the next bit of excitement, really, people realizing
yeah.
all that. And so, I'm glad I'm here. Like it's, as some people say, it's the greatest show on earth and we've got the ringside seat. But I do feel strongly that I'm meant to help people reconnect with their soul and understand, it can just make your life so much easier because it's like your higher self. Once you give it the green light, it sort of knows, like mine knows everything I've got to plan for the day and it just orchestrates. It's like, God, that's amazing. It just sort of flows and throughout the day you can stop and just ask it for specific help.
Mm.
Like if I ever feel challenged about something, I'll say higher self. And what I've learned is it can even help with emotional challenges. But you have to have that strong connection, which is what I'm working on at the moment.
So you report into the higher self. That's your first, that's your first port of call, if you like, for the soul. And at what I just want to go back for you because it's lovely to hear other people's examples because sometimes we go, oh yeah, that kind of worked for me as well. For you, what convinced you that oh, I need to talk to my higher self about this? Was it a long process or was it a aha moment?
No, well, probably about 3 years ago, I
Hmm,
decided, God, if I could connect directly to Source, my life would be so much easier because most of what I do is writing, speaking, teaching.
yeah.
And I thought, oh God, I just want to speed it up. And I realized that if I could connect to Source in that part, like it would make everything easy. And I thought, well, no, that's really what ascension is. But I thought, well, that's what I want to do. That's going to be my aim.
Mm-hmm.
And I had prepared for this because since 2010, I've regularly been accessing the Akashic Records.
Mm-mm.
And I've been working in that to raise my vibration. Like I've worked with a lot of clients, and every time I've helped them, it comes back and it lifts you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying my vibration is super high, but the vibration of the Akashic Records is fifth dimensional. And you really much, when you're in there, like whether you're getting information for yourself or assisting other people, like it's like a conversation with your soul. So I knew my higher self. It's very much a soul energy, and I've been immersed in it for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used it, to really help me not just lift my vibration, but to lighten, the load that I'm carrying from other lifetimes, of there's a lot of limit imprints of
Mm-hmm.
limitation that we sort of carry, a lot of trauma from this lifetime and other lifetimes, and that's quite a load, energetic old fears. So, when I teach people about the Akashic Records, I give them tools for working with doing their inner work really, which is crucial, and sort of releasing some of the imprint.
Mm. Mm.
So, um, what I did is that sort of connected me with my soul. So it's been a sort of natural progression. And then about 3 years ago, I thought, look, and then about that time, I became aware. First of all, I went on a trip to America, which was meditating for 5 days in Arizona. But I thought, God, this is going to be a blissful trip. I'm going to meet all these like-minded souls. And what it was is it was really the energy just brought up so much of my stuff. Like It was
Mm.
really concentrated, like it was nearly 40-degree heat, and it was like the heat was on me, and all the shadow stuff came up, and I was like, oh God. So it wasn't like
Oh,
what it's
yeah.
like when you're on the spiritual path and you think, oh God, I'm actually not teaching for 3 weeks. I've got a break. Well, you don't get a break
No.
because when you're not sort of teaching or having to front up, like all the shadow stuff that you have to face up to. So this
Yes.
is what it's like. But it was really good. When I came back, I felt exhausted, but then I felt like I had let go of so much stuff. And then I found out about this Dr. David Clements. Have you heard of him?
Oh, I love David Clements. He's
So I
amazing.
love him,
I
and
love
he.
him.
I know. Look, if you
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you
Oh,
go on to
love him.
Patreon,
Yeah,
Infinite Source Intelligence, and what he teaches and helps us do is
I
to connect
know.
to our higher self into Source. So I thought, oh, thank you, because you put that you want something, well, that was the
Yeah.
answer. So I have actually been working with him, and a lot of his stuff is free. He's got a
Mm,
constant connection with his higher self. Like he just asks the questions, and he says that there's a point, where you sort of ignite. It just ignites. And
mm,
what I've noticed is, definitely, like I can ask my higher self now. I don't have to sort of sit down and get the backstory, to why I got triggered by something. I can just say, look, higher self, give me clarity, and it comes. So then
right.
when that light of truth shines on it, I can let it go. Because
Yeah.
every time we get triggered emotionally, it's not about the person or the
Or the
situation. It's about
thing.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just helping me sort of. And the thing is, you can do that in the Akashic Records as well. But what I'm trying to do with David is just every week I'll do one of his meditations to, yeah,
Mm,
quite often I fall asleep in them because, you get taken out because you need to
yeah.
get work done and stuff.
Yeah.
They're quite heavy duty. But he's just really helped me hugely. So, like, I was already on this path, but he sort of came along just at the perfect time is how it's synchronistic. My higher self would have okay. The other thing I like is he channels the Arcturians,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so I love all that because he sort of teaches tools to that you can use for just healing yourself and doing your inner work
Yeah.
that they're sort of offering to humanity at the moment. So there's a wee toolbox.
Yeah.
The thing about the soul I've realised too is the more you allow the soul into your life, the more joy there is. Like it's got a great
Ah,
sense of humour. It likes to have fun. And the thing about the soul, to connect with it, you have to so be in the heart.
yeah.
Like you cannot be in here.
Yeah.
So, mindfulness practices are great.
Mm,
Anything that will bring you back to the heart. And what I learned through the Akashic Records was, that first of all, they sort of helped me open up my heart. And then they were like a pathway to the soul. And ultimately, they're going to be my pathway to source.
yeah.
But we all have different pathways, so I'm not saying that everyone has to do that. Like it's helped me hugely. And if I look back at what I've taught in my life, it's always things that have helped me that then I think, God, I can teach people,
You can
those
share this.
same tools and
Yeah.
share because they can, if it helps me, it can help, other people as well. So
Mm.
that's sort of been, and I thought the Akashic Records was, where I was going to stay, but it's not.
No.
It's now the sign. I don't know. You've just got to be open because you know the potentials are unlimited. The life is unlimited. The soul is unlimited.
And that's
So
ascension too,
yeah, that's
progression,
yeah,
evolving,
yeah, and just being really open and just
Mm,
trying not to control everything. So when you hand
mm,
over to the soul, it does help with that.
mm.
It's yeah. What I'm saying is, it's a year of the fire horse, so it's time to hand
Yes.
over the reins to your soul. Take it. And it's definitely helping me a lot. It's helping me. And at some point, as a light worker, and you'll understand this too, it's not about you anymore. It becomes
Mm,
about something much, much bigger,
yeah.
and you
Yeah.
just have to do what you came to do to try to help as many people as possible
Yeah.
in the way that you're, equipped to do it.
I want to talk a little bit about frequency because you touched on it just before and vibration, raising our vibration. And I think this is a really interesting thing. What I wondered, there are times when I absolutely can feel that whoosh of, let's call it raising the vibration. It's a sensation that happens. But sometimes I find it hard, and I think I'm true of many, to align the vibration with something else. They often say if you want to manifest, you need to align to whatever their vibration of whatever it is. Now,
Yeah.
how can I align if I don't know what the other vibration is? I know it's like the dial on the radio. It is static, 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 static. Oh, and then you
Yeah.
hear something, and then you refine, and you hear it. You hear at a certain point. Ah, there we are. We're in tune. Okay, that's a metaphor or analogy for what it's like, but we're not hearing it.
Well,
What are we
I think,
doing? Are we feeling it?
I
You
think
know.
we all know, like when we're in the flow of something,
Yes.
and we're in a higher vibration, and we can, if we're speakers, we bring in those higher vibrational words, and it's just effortless. And
Yeah.
but what we need to do is just probably become aware of when we're not in what does lift us up.
Yeah.
Like with me, the minute I open the Akashic Records, and my students say this too, it sort of just lifts you up. You're in that fifth dimensional space. But for other people, it's out being in nature, or it might be meditating, or it might be listening to music, or it might be. You've got to be so careful of what you ingest and um, discerning about what you take on and what you get involved in and
Mm,
energetically.
mm,
You know
mm.
that. So it's about just focusing on how it feels when your vibration is high and just doing all you can, to clear the static, which is where the inner work comes in.
Mm,
Really, we have to do that now.
yeah.
We have to take responsibility for every single area of our life. And at the moment, the heat is on, and if we're not, living um, in alignment with our soul, like we're really getting tested, or if we're, not being true to ourselves, and like everyone is in the firing line. It's not just people that are aware of it, and it must be very hard for people that aren't. But anyone whose life's out of alignment, anyone that's perhaps trying to hide something.
Yeah.
It's all like, yeah, it's all coming up and coming out, and we're having to face it, and it is not an easy time. So, keeping the vibration high, if you realize when it drops, you think, oh,
Mm,
and then you sort of become conscious of, so you perhaps avoid listening to things or watching things or, anything that you know is.
mm,
Um, and, it's just progressively trying to raise it, but understanding that, as I said before, like there's a bit of kickback from the ego, and there's, the parts of
mm,
us that have sort of helped us to survive, when we were born and, in other lifetimes and things that, um, yeah, so, it's just like a gradual process, I think.
mm,
And, what I try to do is just, not sort of protect myself, but just like in my heart, my soul sort of tells me I know. That's one thing about connecting more with the higher self. And what's right for you and what isn't,
mm,
and what
mm.
situations. And so that'll be good for me to do because you feel a sort of, lightning of energy, and you just
Yes.
know. And
Yeah.
so you follow those sort of
Mm,
prompts and getting out of the head as much as possible, because overthinking and ruminating and thinking about, too much over, what happened in the past or what could happen in the future, just dramatically, like your vibration just spirals instantly. I taught the soul class in May, and
mm.
I loved teaching it, and I was on this absolute high, and then, it basically finished. The night before it finished, someone close to me had a serious accident, and
Oh,
I was in my mind just, oh God, what if this, and
yeah.
everything, it's like I forgot everything I've been teaching.
I'm so
Which
glad we
is
hear
always
this
the
from
way,
you. It's like,
and I thought,
oh,
and I'd had about 3 days of this sort of panic and anxiety,
oh,
and oh, this could happen, and that, it was ridiculous, really, because none of it sort of happened. Like the person's actually come through it, and so that was really unhelpful. And it was also not what I was teaching at all, because what I've been
mm,
teaching is how you just let your soul take charge and just trust it. because it is a part of us that we can really trust. And, in the world we're in now, people, they've stopped trusting, with good
Yeah,
reason, because
yeah.
you can't trust anymore. And um, but the soul is never going to let you down. Like, it's reliable. It loves you. It
Mm,
has your best interests at heart. It always sees that, puts a positive spin on things. It sees that bigger picture. And so the
mm,
more you can connect with it, like, I wouldn't say
mm.
that it's sort of I've had that ignition point that David Clements has. Because if he's on a Q&A, what he does, and I have tried doing this, I've started
Right.
doing it. If he's on a Q&A and someone sort of says, he will ask his higher self, what do you think, higher self,
Oh, yes,
And
I
it
do
comes,
see him do that.
so the thing is, we've given our power away for so long and it's time to reclaim it. It's time to reclaim it, and we can do that with the help of our higher self.
And our soul, just to recap a little bit, our soul is the same soul in all across time's such a weird thing. It's just not
It's,
exact, but across all those lives
it's
as
very
being.
it's multi-dimensional, and that's the thing. So as I'm
Yeah,
sitting here talking to you,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not aware of parallel lives, but I'm sure I've got them.
Mm.
So there might be other soul aspects of me, out there on Earth at the moment doing other things. There's
Or
also
in
the
other
question,
places, even.
yeah, well, definitely
Mm.
the thing is, Earth's the only place that's in linear time. And
Mm.
so, the galaxy and other rest of the places, they're not in linear time. So, I think there's an Arcturian version of me because I love the Arcturians. So it'll be there doing its thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And what I've discovered through my work in the Akashic Records is the soul aspects, past life sort of aspects. And part of what I teach is people can connect with them to bring in strengths that they need now or to connect with higher wisdom. There's also soul fragments, which is a whole
Mm.
another discussion because that's pieces of our soul that split off through trauma and various
Okay.
experiences. So it is the same soul, but as I said, it's multidimensional. It can be in a lot of places at once. There's still so much we don't know about the soul, and still so much to be learning all the time. And you know,
Mm.
it's exciting. It's quite
Yeah.
hard to put it in a sort of linear sort of
Yeah.
context. But I
Yeah.
sort of did with my diagram with the source,
Yeah.
then the monad, then the. But I think in some ways you have to sort of try and put it in simple terms for people to understand it. But also, the soul experience for everyone is probably completely different and unique, and our purpose
Yeah.
is different and unique.
Yeah.
And so it is quite hard to
Yeah.
nut it down or put it in a nutshell, as David Clements always says. I love that.
Yeah. I wish everything could be put in a nutshell. Oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah,
Now I get it. But
yeah,
we don't need to necessarily get it in the way that we think. We actually just need to perhaps sometimes feel it, experience it, you know. But you do talk about unlocking our gifts and our soul gifts. Talk us through a little bit of that.
no, well, I do a lot of that. Like in the soul classes I've taught, I
Mm.
always have guided visualizations, and one of them is sort of, unlocking those. So, yeah, there's so many of them, not just from past lives. It's easy, in the Akashic Records, which is the energetic record of our lives on Earth, to get bogged down in all the terrible,
Yes.
times we've suffered and, been persecuted and betrayed and all the negativity. Because that has been the story for a lot of us in the last 10,000 years.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of positives as well. And if you think about it, there's an aspect of you out there that has exactly what you need to draw on right now to help you. So just before, I couldn't clean my teeth properly because sorry, I shouldn't talk about this other thing. But
It's okay, talk about it.
our water mains have been cut off.
Okay.
But I did give them, I had a bucket of water. But as I was doing that, like before, I just sort of drew on. I thought, okay, I'll put on all those soul aspects and soul expressions of me throughout time and space and dimensions who, could speak from the heart, were orators that had, were wordsmiths or whatever. So, yeah, so that's, you can just do that really easily. And
Do you know what? I had an experience of this when you just prompted me with your little tooth washing thing. Um, I had an experience of burning the floor at a yoga studio, not badly, but leaving a mark on her floor. Okay, it was the candle or something was too hot underneath and it, left a burn, And I'm thinking, oh my God, I did that. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to fix this. And it was actually in the middle of all our big storms a few years ago, right? So I was now locked into the yoga studio, unable to get out of there for at least an hour. But um I had gone to Bunnings and got what I thought I might need to to deal with this mark in the best possible way that I could. And I sat there and I asked, okay, if I've ever been a carpenter, if I've ever,
right,
I need you right now to show me what to do, to guide me here. And you know what? I did it.
it's a great example.
I did it. That mark she couldn't see, and I'd taken before and after photos. Said I did this to your floor. I'm so sorry, and I was,
What a great story. Can I
yeah,
can I share that in my class?
absolutely share it. Yeah, yeah,
I won't say I could talk about your podcast, but yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think it's such a great story because, there's an aspect of us out there at any time or place that can help us with whatever we need. And, even in a situation like that, your higher self can help you too. Because you could just say, higher self, please
Please.
help me. Because what I do often in the day is if I have a challenge, I'll ask my higher self for help. It's quite good on technological help.
Oh, good.
It seems to know, like it's really good with recipes. Like it seems to know what's in my fridge more than I do. And like a little recipe will come into my head and I thought, oh, thank you. And I think my cooking's improved since
I
I let
love
my higher self.
that.
Sometimes I'm sitting here and I might finish something and I think, ask it what I should do next. And the next minute I'm sort of in the car racing off. So not everybody, and people in mainstream jobs can do that sort of thing. But it's like, it takes you off on different trajectories and unexpected. It's quite an adventure. But you just have to learn to trust it. And like I am now checking in with my higher self a lot during the day.
Mm.
Like if I feel stressed about anything, that's what I'll do, but I'll really come back to the heart as well. And of course, David Clement talks about rhythmic breathing. And that's what he says is the main way to connect to the higher self is to just take these really deep breaths. And he said that we're all unique. Like there's
Yes,
no
I
sort of
love the
one
sign
size fits all for rhythmic
the
breathing, but it's sort of,
signature breath, and I love that.
yeah,
As someone who teaches yoga, I've
yeah,
really taken that on from him. My breath will be different rate and how deep it goes or how shallow it goes or
yeah,
will be different to yours, and there's no judgment in it. Whatever is right for you is right for you. Whatever is right for me is right for me. And that is is like a fingerprint. That is a really beautiful way to think of it and drop the efforting that can sometimes happen when we go, okay, I've got to do 3 breaths now, and I've got to do it for,
yeah,
I've got to do it over
exactly.
4 seconds,
I
and I've
know,
got
and
to
hold it for
hold
eight.
here, and I've got to,
Yeah, no,
you know,
I know, I know.
drop it.
I love that too. And it's so I do a lot of breathing
Mm,
and just connecting. And sometimes when I'm doing that breathing, like I'll just feel the energy like a golden pillar going up to right up to source, coming down
yeah,
through my heart, back to the core of the earth, and take a deep breath, say something like, I am my soul and my soul is me. And
yeah, that's
I
beautiful.
do have some words that I say like at the start of the day just to
Hmm.
invite my soul in and ask it for help.
Hmm.
As part of it as I hand over this day to you, but it's just stuff like that.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, I check in with my soul as well and just sort of look back and think, oh, you really helped with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because it's like any relationship, like
Nurture it.
you have to sort of acknowledge and appreciate and
Yeah,
say
yeah,
thank you and be grateful and just sort of strengthen that respect and trust, and yeah. So
Beautiful. You also talk quite a bit about a miracle mindset. What do you mean by the word miracle for you?
I love that word. It's got a beautiful energy, hasn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I think miracle is really just something that our little 3D sort of mind that thinks, it's impossible to create. So something, but it's something that's really positive, something that's unexpected, something that goes beyond the realms of what we think is possible. And I think, you know, when you connect with your soul, you do open yourself up to more of that
Mm,
happening in your life, because the key thing, of course, to creating a miracle is believing that it's possible, that you deserve it. Like getting out of your head, getting into your heart, sort of not thinking, but just going with the flow. And of course, if you connect with your soul, that's sort of the space that begin to you
yeah.
begin to embody that and to inhabit and live in that space. So yeah, the only thing that limits us really is our belief system. And
Yeah.
the work that we have to do is sort of weeding it out, and that takes time, because there's so much conditioning, but it's speeding up. It's happening more quickly, and it's much, much faster than it used to, you know, as the
It,
vibration on Earth is rising, and like it's quick now. You just have to sort of have that moment of truth, that sort of aha moment. Oh God, that's at the root cause, that's the cause of it.
yeah.
The Akashic Records, you can find those answers, but your higher self can help you find those answers too. And then it gets transmuted and cleared, and then, yeah. So it's
And
there's a lot of that happening. There really is, and it's hard enough if you sort of have a bit of an understanding of what's going on, you know.
mm, mm.
But I think a lot of people are, their souls are definitely tapping them on the shoulder, going, "Yeah, hello,"
Yeah, I'm here.
tap tap, like
Yeah.
remember me, remember me. You're not living this life and struggling along alone. You have got a support team. I can support you. You have to invite me in. Just and it's not just the higher self or the soul. It's actually um, it's a lot of us have spirit teams as well,
Mm,
and they
mm.
can work alongside the higher self. And but what I understand now is that a lot of the spirit teams, they're wanting us to connect more with our higher self. They're probably ready for a break. And a good friend of mine, Terry Morahu, who lives in Christchurch, has written a
Mm,
fantastic book called The Only Way Out Is In. And it's
beautiful.
true. It's true. Like the answers are all within us. We have to take responsibility. We have to, um, you know, step up and be in charge of our whole process and reclaim, what we've sort of lost along the way, and step into that beautiful, expansive, unconditionally loving, compassionate, beautiful soul space.
And that word compassion is really key, I feel. It's um when one is in their soul space,
Mm.
the the ability to feel genuine compassion is a lot easier than not being in that soul space. And compassion, I feel, is something huge in this. We've been so ego driven and judgment driven and wanting to punish people, punish, out of the goodness of our heart, you will hear people say, you know, the person who did that to that child or that animal or did whatever deserves all of that and more. And you go, oh my goodness.
But they are actually, we're all part of Source.
Yeah.
So they are us, is Jacinda what I've said. I
Yes.
love that saying, but we are all part of the same whole.
Yeah.
And you know, we we've had lifetimes, some of us, where we've done those similar things, and I think like it's easy to judge, and it's the natural reaction. But as you say, just perhaps feeling compassion. And there's a lot of souls on earth at the moment. And there's some, like, what I believe is there are some that aren't particularly nice.
Yeah.
They've
Mm.
had, and what I also believe is that they were around in Atlantis, they were around in Babylon. This is a whole nother conversation. They were around in Rome and they're back. And I'm not going to say who they are, but some of them are leading authoritarian governments. They're not doing nice things, and it's just
Sure.
like going down that technological path, that mind control path, that path of, just creating more suffering for people, and that path of, merely not heart-based leadership or action.
Mm.
But um, anyway, they're there, but even them, like if we just even have compassion for them, because a lot of them, it's hard to say, but some of them are just would had damaged childhoods,
Absolutely.
and I still feel like there are some I don't think will ever sort of see what we see, but I still think there's a lot of those people that are wreaking havoc. That there's still a chance, that they've got hearts. There's still a chance. So I think it's far better to like send them compassion and love,
Yeah.
than judgment,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're by the grace of God, goes I. And what I've learned through the Akashic Records is, you'll get someone in front of you, and when you sort of see their backstory and their whole soul, you know, history, you think, oh God, it's so obvious there's been this pattern of this, and you can just
No
see it
wonder. No wonder they are who
absolutely
they
why they're
are.
like they are. So there's always a
Yeah.
good reason. And
Yeah.
some, there's people on earth at the moment that have all the power and want to sort of keep fighting each other. And
We're in this play that's playing out that they are there too as well
oh, they are.
to show to create a choice point for the rest
Yeah,
of us.
yeah.
And we can choose to go down that road
Oh,
or
no, they're
not.
doing exactly what they signed up to do.
Yeah.
And we should, on some level, we should be grateful because it's taking us,
Yeah.
to this new world order that we wanted to
Yeah.
create, like a world that's more unified, that's more compassionate, that's more where we won't have to suffer anymore, where we're all in it together,
Mm.
we're helping each other. So it's happening much faster because of some of their actions. So yeah, we have
Yeah.
to be grateful for that. And they're just doing what they signed up for on a soul level as well. So
Yeah.
I mean the best thing we can probably do at this really important time on earth, and we're so lucky to be here, is just try to connect with what we came to do, what our mission is, what we feel our purpose is, and just have the courage to pull it off and carry it through.
And do you think if, you and I are, we're aware of this, we make a choice not to be that person, not to go down that road, that serves us, our soul, in the long term when we do eventually leave Earth and maybe go somewhere else, or maybe we come back, maybe we make some choices. Are we serving our soul and elevating it so it doesn't come back and be that person? Or do we turn around and go, okay, it's my turn to be the, yeah,
Oh no, no, I don't think you.
you know,
Like, there's a whole story about some of those darker souls on earth that Patricia Coda Robley, that said. So I won't go into that, but they are actually here. No, you couldn't become them. But I think, like a lot of us had lifetimes, our last lifetime, and I'm a case in point, which was in World War Two, where I
mm,
had a choice. I love your word, your choice point. I like that
mm,
phrase.
mm.
To do certain things and not do certain things. Like I wasn't a bad person, but by the end of that lifetime, I had such huge regrets. But on a longer term soul perspective, I can see that I actually chose those experiences so I'd come into this life and I was, determined to
Not be that.
to not
Yeah,
sort of forget the
yeah.
plan, to actually, because at the end of my last life, I felt like I'd failed, I'd hurt, I'd done stuff. Anyway, so I just think it was like a springboard to, because this whole life I've been like, oh God, I've felt it's important, and it's been evolving, but I just feel, it's driven me on in a way. And I think a lot of us had, maybe if you look right back at all the different expressions on earth, like some of us have had, like, there's a variety, and we've had very high vibrational soul aspects,
Mm.
but quite a few of us soul did choose in the last lifetime to maybe, not such a great experience
Mm.
to set us up for perhaps greater success in this one.
Yeah.
But we're all
Mm.
different.
We are all so different.
Yeah.
We're so different, and yet this oneness, we are
Oh,
all
true.
one. You
But we're
know?
all connected, so that's the thing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's
I
a
think
big thing to get your head around in a
I
way.
think the thing is what I'm
Your
trying to
heart
do.
around, or your heart around more, should I say?
What I'm trying to do is if I see someone, like even someone that in the past I would have thought, oh my, perhaps judged, I just try to think, well, what have I got in common with them? There's
Mm.
always at least one thing. And I think, I don't just, I try to, I think the future of the earth depends on us finding the common ground and,
The one thing that, yeah, yeah,
connecting. So we
yeah.
can't just say, well, this is the way I've always voted and don't believe anything that, we actually, in the future, like politicians, leaders are going to have to all work together and play
Mm.
to their strengths and not sort of waste energy, sort of putting each other down and trying to point score. It's really
Mm.
third dimensional behavior. It's about God, the
Mm.
world's in the situation, and it's all hands on deck, and we just have to help in the best way we can. And everyone, there's a light that sort of shines in every person, and it's the light of the soul. And I
Mm.
like to define it, I say it's the pilot light that has sometimes flickered but never gone out.
Right.
And it's now time to just reconnect with that light and to bring it
Mm.
forth, just to help this planet that we love.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was the Course in Miracles that said the other person is you. And
Oh,
when
definitely, yes. Oh,
and I used to drive along, and you'd just see people walking along the road, and I'd really be considered, that's me, that's me, that's me. So yeah, they're
yeah,
all me.
yeah,
They're all part of me. I'm not
yeah.
perhaps connecting with them, but when you connect with someone who maybe triggers you, it's kind of interesting to say the other person is you. So
Yes.
yeah, to think about that and to consider that as a connection to what we can shift in ourselves.
I think I find that the more I'm connecting more with my higher self, the easier it is to do that
Yeah.
and have that sort of different perspectives. So keep doing it.
And also probably the less you are confronted by those highly triggering situations. I know there's a it's a sort of a little analogy. There was someone who was a bit of a criminal, walking, who would go into dark streets, might have been in London or somewhere like that at night, and target out someone to rob. And there was a CCTV, and there happened to be a, a Buddhist monk that was walking along. You'd say, oh, well, you'd see the Buddhist monk from what they're wearing, but actually they couldn't really tell because it was winter and they had a big jumper on. And so it wasn't blindingly obvious, right? And they had a woolly hat on and all of that sort of thing. And when the criminal was asked, well, why did you pick that person over that person? He said, I didn't even see that person being a Buddhist monk.
uh, I have,
Wasn't even in their consciousness. So the soul that had been, presumably, and I'm just presuming this, that had been working quite closely with the soul self was protected and not even seen
I
by
have heard
him.
other stories like that.
Yeah.
People that
Yeah.
think they're in danger, but their vibration is such a difference between perhaps theirs and the other people that they aren't seeing. And
They
they're
can't
saying
see them.
our soul can help us be our best selves and the best that we
Yeah.
can. And if we're doing that, then it's not just us, it spirals out to
Yeah.
everyone around us. And this is the way that we'll be living in the future. So I think it's time to start Just
Oh,
some of us.
Chris, how long is that?
Well, it is. When I went to Arizona, I went to a Patricia Cota Roble. She's one of my favorite teachers. She's in her 80s now. It was her last. It was fantastic. She stood up at the end because it's America, of course,
Mm,
and she said, "Well, we can choose. We can do it the hard way
mm,
or the easy way."
mm.
And it's up to us. But as we know, any light, any positivity, like it's much more powerful. And,
Yeah.
we might be sort of looking in despair at what's happening on the world, but there's so many good things happening.
Yeah.
There's so many things, and they don't always get like the exposure or the publicity. People don't hear about them. But in the hearts and minds and communities of just normal people, we're changing. And it's like,
Mm,
you know, you put the frog in the hot water and that will tip the balance. So we all just have to keep doing what we can do in our own sphere of influence in our little daily lives to be that best version of ourselves. And, I find, the whole higher self soul connection is making it a lot easier. It's making life look a lot easier. You don't sort of sweat the small stuff anymore, or, well, if
mm,
you do, you sort of pull yourself back. And so I think there's so many people all of a sudden, like there seems to be an upsurge of
mm.
people talking about the soul, which confirms, to me that I'm sort of on the right track. So
Yeah.
I will do what I can to get the word out and just,
Yeah.
anything that can help people, particularly at the moment, I think's important. So we all have to just try and, you're doing so much with your podcasts and obviously, you teach yoga and all that. So
Yeah. I
what we had to
mean,
do is
yeah.
different, but yeah. Our existence is mainly as souls.
Yeah.
Like the human lifetimes are just like little, very short interludes.
Yeah.
And then so that's really the truth of who we really are,
Mm,
is
mm.
we're souls, we definitely are souls and bodies. And the soul or beings of light or, loved ones that have passed on will all be there to, help them.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, Earth is meant to be the hell part of the equation.
Well,
But
I kind of
I'm glad
feel
I'm here. I'm glad I'm here at this time.
I just remember being about 5 and going, how long is this going to take? Are we there yet?
I love that. It's like being in the car.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Are
Well,
we there yet? I just
that's
remember thinking, oh my goodness, what on earth have I come to?
that's what a lot of, the children do think, and it's not easy for
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
because some of the souls have never been on Earth before because they're
Mm.
coming to help, and it's a higher vibration, so they've been able to come. But yeah,
All right, my love. Well, thank you so much for this chat. And I know there's just so many segues, there's so many rabbit holes we could go down that would be so much fun. Where can people find you and come and perhaps work with you?
well, my website at the moment, but the name could be changing, is www.akashicreadingsnz.com. And
Mm.
I'm on Facebook as Chris Wilson, the Magic of the Akashic Records, but name might change.
Yeah,
So
great.
Chris Wilson, the Magic of the Akashic Records, and then I'm on Instagram as well, um,
Okay.
which is what's that? The Magic of the Akashic Records at the moment.
I'll put all these as links in the story notes too. So if anyone wants to just go on and click straight to it, they can do that.
So then,
Okay.
yeah,
So lovely, lovely to have you again.
thank you.
Love our chats. It's
Yeah,
great. And and take care, Chris, and let's see have you back. There'll be more, I'm sure.
I'm really grateful. Thank you, Susie.
Okay, bye.
Bye.